It is a fact. Home ownership feels impossible in Ontario. But what if the problem is not the market? Is it the strategy? I'm going to show you 3 that actually work. These are not theoretical ideas. These are strategies my clients are actually using right now to get into home ownership, which they thought was totally out of their reach. This exact strategy to be able to own their own family homes. Also, I'm going to share a true story of 2 brothers who felt completely priced out of the Toronto market until they employed this exact strategy to own their dream homes for their families in Bradford. It's a journey from frustration to freedom, and it can start for you right now. Let's begin with the reality of our current situation. The average detached home in the York region costs $1.23 million as of August 2025. Even with prices softening slightly, that still requires you to have a $123,000 down payment, which equates to $5,200 a month, roughly. Meanwhile, the median household income in Ontario is at $84,000. So that means you would need to spend over 70% of your gross income just on housing costs. For most, that math simply does not work. But here's what's interesting, and this is where opportunity does exist. In South Simcoe, communities like Barrie, Innisfil, Bradford, and Alliston, you can still find quality homes in the $675,000 range to $875,000. That's a $200,000 to $400,000 difference from a home in the York region. The challenge is not just price. It's thinking differently about how you approach home ownership. Most people are stuck thinking about traditional buying methods, when in reality, the real estate market has undergone a fundamental change. So let me show you 3 strategies that are actually working right now, starting with the most accessible one to most buyers. Strategy 1 is buying a property with a legal, the word's legal, rental unit, a basement apartment, secondary suite, or even a triplex where you live in one of the units and rent out the other. This approach works particularly well in communities like East Gwillimbury and Innisfil and Barrie, as they have clear bylaws supporting legal secondary units and their strong rental demand because of the GO Transit commuter opportunities. Let's look at how these numbers work with the current market data. Let's say you find a home at $750,000 in Barrie with a legal apartment, and you are able to put 10% down. Your monthly mortgage payment is approximately $3,400. A quality basement apartment in the Barrie area rents for $1,800 to $2,100 per month. So let's be conservative and use a $1,900 price point. That brings your actual housing costs down to $1,850 a month when you incorporate the rental income component. Yes, traditional buying costs about $1,000 more per month than renting. But this is where the numbers get interesting, because you are not buying a typical traditional way. You offset part of your mortgage by renting out a secondary unit. In this example, your net monthly cost drops to just $1,850. That's $550 less than renting a Toronto apartment while building equity in a $750,000 asset. Now, you might be thinking, what if the rental unit sits empty for a month, 2, maybe 3? Even with the occasional vacancy, you are still well ahead over time. Renting gives you 0 return. It's a flat line. Home ownership, even with a few bumps along the way, lets you build long-term wealth through mortgage pay down, appreciation, tax-free capital gains on your principal residence. That is why strategic buying, like house hacking, is the smarter path to home ownership for many in today's real estate market. So the key, of course, is finding properties that are already legally zoned for this secondary unit. Don't try to convert illegal legal properties, work with communities that support this type of housing. But what if you don't want to be a landlord? And that's fair. That truly is fair. Then that's where strategy 2 might come in for you. Strategy 2 is co-buying with a sibling, friend, or a partner. This immediately doubles your buying capacity power and can significantly reduce your housing costs. Now I get to share a real client story that illustrates the power of this approach. I had 2 brothers who felt priced entirely out of the Toronto marketplace. They worked in Toronto. Neither could afford anything decent to live in. So together they bought an entry-level property. They were able to divide it into 3 units. They lived in 1 unit and rented the other 2. This covered most of their mortgage while they each built equity. Life goes on. One brother bought out the other. He and his wife had their first child there. And when they were ready to move to a larger family home, they tried to sell. But at that point in time, the market wasn't really supportive of the unit and how much work it required. Instead of taking a loss, they renovated the property themselves and converted it back to a legal duplex with a brand new kitchen, floors, bathrooms, and a beautiful front entrance. The renovation and repositioning enabled them to sell for over asking. They used those proceeds to buy a beautiful family home in Bradford, exactly the community and the lifestyle they wanted for their growing family. This story highlights a critical point. House hacking is not just about reducing monthly expenses. It's about creating a stepping stone to your ultimate lifestyle goals in a manner you can actually afford and make happen for yourself. Fundamental key to successful co-buying is having proper legal agreements in place. You need precise ownership percentages, transparent decision-making processes, and well-defined strategies before you make that purchase. Now, what if you're not ready for tenants or partnerships? You already have a family and you really are looking for a family home. It is relocating to communities where your money goes significantly further. This isn't about settling for less. It simply is about getting more value for your investment. I will be sure to show you what $800,000 to $900,000 gets you in different markets. In York region, you may find a smaller townhome or an older detached home that requires renovation. Or in places like Innisfil, Bradford, or Alliston, Barrie as well, the same budget can get you a newer, larger detached home with a yard, often in a family-friendly neighborhood with good schools and amenities. Of course, the number one trade-off is commute time. The distance from Innisfil to downtown Toronto is approximately 90 minutes by GO transit. However, with hybrid work becoming the standard for most companies, many of my clients now only have to commute 2-3 days a week. Plus, consider the lifestyle benefits. Instead of a cramped condo or a townhouse in Toronto that needs so much work, you get a detached home with space for a family and a home office and an actual yard. The improvement in the quality of life often outweighs the longer commute, and sometimes the feeling of security and safety is also a real plus. And here's the wealth building aspect. These communities are all experiencing strong value appreciation as more people discover them, and we're having infrastructure investment into these areas. So you're seeing better returns in pre-purchase before waiting till the markets are saturated or these infrastructure are already in place. So which strategy appeals to you? There are some practical steps you need to know, of course. Before you start looking, here are 3 critical tips that I can give to you that will save you time and money. The very first and ultimate first is get pre-approved. I highly recommend a mortgage broker who actually understands creative financing. Not all lenders will count rental income in the same way, and some are more adept at structuring deals for co-buyers or properties with is secondary units or secondary suites. Second, you need to know where to look for multifamily properties or homes with rental potential. Focus on communities with clear zoning bylaws that support secondary units. Totally avoid zoning pitfalls and finding a property doesn't work for you by using an agent who understands these strategies. Someone who knows and can identify what a legal rental unit looks like versus an illegal conversion and who is familiar with the local bylaws. The largest mistake I see is people trying to figure this out on their own. These strategies are effective, but they require proper guidance and real local market knowledge. If this appealed to you, you're not alone. I work with people every day who feel completely priced out of the market until they discover this type of strategy. The housing market has changed, but that doesn't mean home ownership is not possible for you. It just means you need to think differently and to work with people who understand these approaches. If you would like to explore which strategy might work for you and your situation, DM me strategy and I'll send you my free house hacking guide. Or if you are ready to get serious, I would love to connect you with a lender who specializes in these types of deals. And of course, make sure to subscribe for more local housing strategies and market insights every week. I'm here to help you navigate this local market. I want to show you how it works and show you the properties that you can make it work with. So question, which strategy resonated most with you? Let me know in the comments. I absolutely love comments. I read every single one and I often create follow-up videos based on your questions. And once again, thank you for watching and remember, you have done everything right. Now, let's help you find that right home.